Hello, how are you doing? Good to see you again. Hello, and welcome to
Hey,
episode 20 of the Kids Health series with Lawrence August. Hi, Lawrence. How are you?
hello there, Heidi. Number
Hello.
20.
20.
Yeah,
That's a
um,
big one. That sounds pretty big.
20 is a big deal.
Yeah.
I read something not too long ago that said I think that when you get to I think it's like episode 20 or 21, you're like in the that's like 99% of people that do these things usually like peter out there. So we are
Oh,
elite. We are
yes, we're
elite.
not we're not going to peter out. We're
No,
good.
there is no petering out.
None.
We will we
Really
will
enjoying this ride. Yeah.
we will peter in.
Peter in.
Take
Well, by
that
the time this
as it is.
airs, we'll be at the end of November. So we just had the Thanksgiving holiday, which was really nice. It was very chill for us. How was yours? I actually had a piece of pumpkin pie before we started talking.
Nice, nice. Yeah, it was very chill,
Low
very
sugar.
relaxing, which is the way, that I like it.
Hmm.
It's been a nice, quiet, long weekend, and here we are. We're taping on a Sunday,
Yeah.
and ready for the week. Just realized
Woohoo.
that Monday,
Mhm.
you can make an anagram out of Monday to damn, yo,
Huh? What do you mean?
if you take the
Damn.
letters in the word Monday, you can spell damn,
Oh,
yo.
damn. I didn't. I'm gonna write that down and tell the
That's
kids.
only
That's a good
tomorrow's
one.
Monday. Damn, yo.
Hi. Well, here's Bo.
Um,
Bo's well.
Bo, what's up,
He's
Bo?
reaching up here. Did you hear he took a trip to Mexico for some treatments? That's a good
Bo went to
medical
Mexico.
discussion.
That sounds
The
like a
vet's
limerick
just,
waiting to happen.
I know. The vet's just upsell and just we'd be in debt for decades if we did that, but he had to go get 5 extractions.
Okay.
He had a lot of work done, and it's a beautiful service that buses them over from San Diego into Mexico. And they give them all their treatments and grooming, everything. They're on the phone all day with you, and it's a really nice service. So he's doing so much better. We didn't know he was in so much pain for so long. Our
Wow.
littlest pets, they need their checkups too, but you got to find a good person,
So those are
someone you can
his
trust.
canine teeth?
There were 2 incisors and 3. Oh yeah,
Shoo!
yeah, right. Oops, oopsie, that's the pumpkin pie. I was like, what? Sugar says what? What? Well, he knows we're
Okay,
talking about him. He just climbed behind me. Okay.
Bo
Hello.
is awesome. Bo's very cool. Bo should be a staple on the show. Why haven't we seen Bo earlier,
I
Heidi?
know.
This is
He's usually at
ridiculous.
my feet, but he feels
Okay,
so,
now we know that.
yeah,
What
feels
else
so
is
good.
going
He's
on
like,
over there?
it's a little nuts. Hello.
Awesome.
I don't get it. Well, anyway. Well,
Are
here
you
we
ready?
are.
Heidi, are you
Yeah.
ready?
Oh, yes.
Ready?
Let's do. Mm-hmm.
Ready? Episode 20.
Woohoo.
Count it up. 1, 2, 3.
Hey!
I
Getting a
think we
little
might have
better
been
and better.
there we go. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
pretty good. High five.
Well,
So here we
what's
are.
in store today? What do we have going on today?
There's been a lot in the news. It's that, interesting time of year where we're getting close to Christmas and gift giving and all of these things. And let's pull up let's take it to
Yeah.
the grid here. Let's
Let's
do
take
it
it to the
here.
grid.
Take
And
it to the
so if
grid.
you're new to this, the grid is Lawrence's Kids Get Healthy USA Instagram
Hmm.
page, which I'm showing the web address here.
Hmm.
And unless you have the grid,
Let
and
me
he's pulling the
pull it
latest
up here.
headlines and studies, and it's pretty epic. Here it comes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, if anybody that wants to follow my Instagram, what I try to do, I try to post daily. It's typically, not always, but typically something that's in the recent headlines. I'm trying to kind of stay on top of what's going on. Most recent, usually it'll be something that will have some type of study related to it or interesting finding. And it's a great resource, and been at it daily now since April, so there's plenty of
Wow.
fun stuff to peruse. If you're just new to my page on Instagram, you can keep yourself occupied for some time, as you can see here, post after post of information.
Yeah.
And Heidi and I have been covering these in these episodes, and it's been a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll just kind of keep that train rolling. Heidi, I like to always see if there's anything that grabs your attention. on the grid,
Yes.
or we can just kind of
Well,
jump.
there's so many links, but you
Yeah.
already triggered me when you brought up the holidays coming and gift giving.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I think that's important when we talk about the VR stuff.
Right on. Let's look at this.
Yeah.
This was just posted yesterday, and this is a really great article. VR risks for kids and teens, right? VR risk for children and teens range from dangerous data collection to impacts on developing brains. Right now, the VR headsets are becoming popular, and every year there's a kind of toy of the year thing that, people are interested in. And I think this year looks like a lot of these VR headsets are going to be popular. And they're getting pretty wild. I mean, I was clicking around on some of these. I mean, you can go into all sorts of strange environments. You can, simulate like a drunken bar fight and, all kinds of really, really odd things. And like all cutting edge technologies and all these things that are wowie zowie, there's usually something in there that we have to think about and think through these things. Key quote on here that I thought really kind of jumped off the page was a researcher, Rachel Franz, at the children's advocacy group called Fair Play. She shared her experience and her experience testing an app called VR Chat with a 14-year-old girl's account. So she logged in with the 14-year-old female account. And her quote is, "In one word, horrible," she said. Playing on the young teen account, Franz was chased by another player who attempted to sexually assault her avatar. So, guys, this is, I mean, kind of creepy to say the least, right?
Yeah.
In my post, I sort of touch on some of these things. I want to say off the start, though, what's interesting with VR, I think what's interesting on the positive side of VR is also sort of proof of how dangerous it can be, and I'll explain that. One way that VR can be positively used is by putting people in an environment, in a virtual environment, for things like exposure therapy, right?
Oh, okay. Like
So if
phobias
we're
and stuff?
like phobias, exactly,
Okay.
right? So we know phobias are those irrational fears. Obviously, it's not a phobia if you're afraid of, something that you actually should be afraid of. But a phobia might be something like getting into an elevator, right?
Hmm.
And it's actually kind of one of the more common ones. And what they can do with those individuals is you can literally start with something like just showing people pictures of an elevator, right? And just by seeing the picture, you gradually become a little more comfortable with just first the idea, let's say, of the elevator. Or in a real life setting, you could take someone and just stand them by an elevator and let them just watch people getting on. And then maybe, you would slowly progress to them stepping into the elevator briefly and then getting off. And I mean, it seems crazy for some people that don't have these phobias, but these are very real for the people that are experiencing them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we can do exposure therapy for phobias. You can do exposure therapy even on a biological level with introducing foods. We talked about that with allergies. So you can imagine the application with a VR set, let's say, right? You could play through those scenarios. Now, what does that tell us about the human mind, though? What it tells us, what we know, and we've known this forever, going back to the studies of visualization and athletes. When you are imagining something, when you're visualizing something, whatever your mind is seeing, the mind believes that it's real, right? And that's powerful. That's powerful on the pro and powerful on the con. On the pro, we can visualize ourselves doing great things. We can practice through, say, public speaking or different social, scenarios where we might be nervous. And by practicing that and visualizing it, our brain believes it really happened. And we know, like most things, if we have experience in doing those things, we can feel more comfortable. Now, that being said, what that tells us that is very real. And so we have to be careful about where we're putting ourselves. Are we putting ourselves in an environment? And I mean, this isn't new to VR. This holds true for anything. Just a plain old video game, right? It doesn't have to be this immersive VR experience, this meta world experience, but just something that, we are interfacing with and experiencing it as real. And if we go into 6 big reasons why VR might not be safe, right? Brain impact, right?
Yeah, that's
So
what I worry.
research says abnormal brain function, right? So developmental issues that they're discovering.
Yeah.
So that this kind of goes into that. Data privacy, obviously, right? So the gathering of, MetaQuest is one, right? And it's gathering
Mhm.
all this info from the voice to the room layout. Even some of these where they're doing analytics, body scans and these different things, and they're really collecting a lot of data, facial recognition, and all these things. And obviously, that in the wrong hands, you can imagine what could happen.
Yeah.
The intense reality, which is what I just spoke on, right?
Mhm.
The emotional and physical reactions. And so you're in this environment, and if you're in an environment where it's very challenging but traumatizing,
It's still
right?
trauma.
You're
Yeah.
literally creating, there is no difference. We need to
Yeah, yeah.
understand that. And
Yeah.
again, take this, the empowering, right? We love to spin it, right?
Mhm.
Hopium. The empowering part of this is we can plant better seeds. We can,
Yeah.
promote visualization on the positives. We can imagine a better life. We can manifest things in that way.
Yeah.
Uh, Social media risks. So Meta blends the VR and social media together, right? And so now we're going to increase chances of negative interactions, profanity, bullying, sexual harassment, like that one researcher pointed out. And
Yeah.
so you've got this big blending of worlds, and we've already known about the cyberbullying and all this, and now this is kind of dialed up
It's
to another
just
level.
yeah.
Inappropriate content, graphic violence, sexual content, easily accessible. And just really and even the design, they're saying, and just on a basic mechanical level, a lot of these just aren't kid friendly. They're pretty heavy. Look at eyesight risks, right?
That's what I keep thinking of. I had a friend who they had a kid that was seeing a specialist because they were getting cross-eyed and they just got a pair. And I'm like, you're not relating the two? Do you think it has anything to do with that? Oh no, not that.
Right?
But
I've said this before, Heidi. It's Steve Martin, the jerk, and everybody goes cross-eyed at the end.
yes,
Great movie, by the way.
great.
But yeah, don't sit too close to the TV. And
Yeah.
now we just strap in like a television set to the eyeballs. I mean, we've really swung the other way. And so these are all very
Evolving.
real concerns, right? Um,
Very.
this article's, worth checking out. So anybody go to my Instagram, you'll see I've got a screenshot right on the post of, the article title and the source. But some of the tips, for parents, try these things out yourself before
Hmm.
exposing your kid. Set up junior accounts with the restrictive settings. And now again, that might
Yes.
not even be a guarantee, but again, this
Just
is why you
try.
want
Yeah.
to do your due diligence on these things.
Yeah.
Monitor that. So there's no unexpected, thing like any surprises. And just, educate yourself on these various apps, like the privacy policies, the parental controls. This should go without saying, but
I
I think we need
know.
to say it.
Yeah. I
But I'm sorry, to
no.
finish,
Go
the
ahead.
conclusion was that they're suggesting holding off on these things for kids until they're really proven safe, and I'm kind of in agreement,
I'm
but
1,000% in agreement. And then also as the educator point of view that follows Rudolf Steiner, which is super connected in things, it's developmentally super inappropriate. Like even with the 10-year-olds I was with last year, we were doing an animal block and they wanted me to wait to bring in my turtles from home to show them because they want them to use their imagination. They need them to visualize themselves before they get the external opinion of
right,
something. Everything is, they make their own textbooks, like everything is part of a child's development, and that includes their own virtual reality that they create in their head. They have to practice using those skills before you give them all these influences. So I personally think there needs to be an age restriction on it and start with maybe teens and up, because
sure,
I don't think children should be around these at all. But that's not flying. I mean, most families, I guess, are involved with it, and I've put my
yeah.
foot down with that at home. I'm like, no, we're sticking to Legend of Zelda. That's what I think. I'm like,
Well, we'll
mhm.
we'll we'll see where this goes, but I tend
Yeah,
to agree. I think that things just move a little faster, and again, it's one of these situations that we can do these things, but should we? And how
yeah,
do we use them, and how do we employ them? And then
yeah,
it's all these things integrate when you get into virtual reality, AI, interacting avatars. you
Mhm.
know,
You're feeding the
really
beast.
starting, you really are feeding the beast, as they say.
Yeah.
So,
Do you know
yeah,
it's
that's crazy
it
stuff.
it's crazy stuff, and it's kinda like a Saturday Night Live sketch, but I swear I've seen on playgrounds where I call, like, other kids, like, not the Steinery kids, that you can tell play these kinds of games all the time because they're throwing themselves around like they're invincible, like they're gonna have another life pop up, and they get hurt. They get hurt really bad, and they
Wow.
think they can, "Well, I've done this in my games," or however, and they're
Right.
just literally breaking limbs and, like, dropping themselves thinking they can jump off of anything, and they're not in their body. They're not feeling what's happening
Absolutely.
until it's too late. And I go, I think that's related.
Absolutely.
So,
That's a
mm,
great point, actually.
mm.
That, I mean, because we've already have, I feel, when you're young, you already have that kind of sense of
Yeah, you already feel
that, but
invincible.
the idea that, you know, yeah, I just start the game over,
Yeah. My
you know,
avatar
and
popped up. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm good.
and again, maybe, later, Heidi, I'm kind of bookmarking some of these things. I'll send them over to you, and because we
Okay.
we need to continue this discussion as it goes on with VR, because it's not going to go away, and I think it's going to be an ongoing thing. You
Yeah.
know, it would just be like saying, going back however many years, 15, 20 years, when social media came on. We're in this next wave now, of this whole new horizon that we're on, and I think it'll be an important part of our discussions, to follow these things. And I'll send you some of the links that I found. Um,
Okay.
it was an interesting one. I have a friend who he does like window cleaning and power washes
Mhm.
homes here in the South Bay. And there's actually um, a VR game where you pressure wash like things. And you pick your different
Get
like
your fix.
attachments, and it's
Mhm.
kind of, I was kind of just watching, and I was like, oh, that's kind of satisfying, just cleaning, like,
I bet my kids
cleaning,
would like that one
pressure
actually.
washing like a helicopter, and
Yeah.
a patio, and
Oh.
and like the kind of this ASMR thing has become big. These sounds and these different things. It's fascinating what it's telling us of, like, okay, what is it that we like about this? What is it telling us about our brains? And again, I'm looking at it from that point of view and saying, okay, the fact again that these environments are so powerful, it tells us something about our mind, and I think that's the most important thing. And that, why can't we just look inward into our we can't why can't we create those virtual worlds and use our imagination? And do we need to just kind of have it spoon fed to us? And
Mhm.
the devil is
Mhm.
really in the dose too,
Mhm.
right? And the problem is, these
Mhm.
things are, again, it's almost like processed food, right? Cool if you can just have a little bit, but it takes a fair amount of discipline and boundaries to do that, you know?
Yeah.
So
Which seems
let's go
foundational,
back.
discipline and boundaries. I think it always comes
Dis
back to that.
discipline and boundaries, and
Mhm.
prevention is a lot easier
Mhm.
usually. And once it's sort
Mhm.
of going, now you've got another thing of like, "Oh, how do I," now you have to take away something. Children aren't
Mhm.
going to know, what they miss. So this is an important principle, right? It's like, you're exposing them to different things. It's kind of nice to just kind of keep them blissfully unaware of certain things. I think it's the best
I
that we can.
agree. Yeah. There's
Right?
plenty of other things to distract your kids with.
Yeah, plenty, exactly. Okay,
Mhm.
back to what else
Aw.
do we have on here? Um,
Well, oh, no, if you get
yeah,
inspired,
well,
but there is a little bit of a segue because there was something about how people are turning to social media for advice
oh,
now.
so getting
Oops.
advice. Yeah.
Let
So
me
this
pull
is
that in.
this is yeah, this is actually, and I'd love, actually,
Coming.
with Heidi, I'd love, your feedback, because I mean, this was just a
Mhm.
poll. I love going to this CS Mont Children's Hospital. They've been doing this for a long, long time, many, many years. They do these different national polls on
Mhm.
different health related things, and especially like polling parents. And so title of this was "Forget Grandma. Today's parents turn to social media for advice" poll behind in it. Goes into some of the common discussions, toilet training, kids sleep. These are some of the top ones, right?
Yeah.
Nutrition, breastfeeding, discipline, that's on there. Behavior problems, vaccination, daycare, preschool, getting along with other kids. These are some of the hot topics. And it's always interesting in these polls, because it was kind of like that last poll that we talked about, where it's kind of like, what parents say versus what they do, and also versus how they see other parents,
Mhm.
So kind of low down some key highlights. 4 in 5 parents use social media to discuss parenting topics. Moms lead the way at 84%, with dads close behind at 69%. Parents diving into topics, as I mentioned earlier, toilet training, sleep, nutrition. Why social media? 62% seek different ideas. 27% find it convenient. 25% want to parent differently than their parents. That's a big thing. I'm going to get
That's a
through
big
these
thing.
points, and then we're going to, I think, unpack a
Yeah.
whole lot here. There's a lot in here.
Mhm.
Social media is social media is rated very useful for new ideas. 44%, making parents feel not alone. 37% in learning what not to do. Some of the concerns that were expressed: 43% worry about seeing unhealthy parenting. So this is interesting, of like kind of concerning yourself with what other parents are doing. 40% find it hard to distinguish good versus bad advice. That's huge. This is why we've talked about before the things to look for when doing your own research, right? Because there's a whole lot out there, and it becomes like, well, where do I go? Who do I trust? 38% fear privacy breaches. How do parents limit sharing? 57% use privacy settings. 30% avoid posting child pics. That's a big topic. 22% stick to closed groups. Implication: social media offers convenience, but there are risks. 1 in 4 parents turn to it to break away from traditional parenting methods. Oversharing. Here's an oversharing alert. 77% think parents share too much, right? So they think other parents share too much, right? Nobody thinks they share
Yeah.
too much, right?
Yeah.
Including there's other parents that think they're sharing too much, right? Including identifying info, embarrassing moments. Privacy settings become crucial here, right? This whole idea of fake news, right?
Yeah.
40% find it tough to sit through good and bad advice on social media. And I would say 60% are just kidding themselves, because even I think it's tough to sift through. I mean, the people that aren't thinking it's tough are probably convinced that their one little source has it right. And I just think you have to
Mhm.
question everything.
Mhm.
Um, 1 in 10 parents of young children who use social media rated it as very useful in deciding when to take their child to the doctor. Little caveat here: with young children, probably want to, go to primary care provider. It's a double-edged sword. So let's talk about this, Heidi, because I mean, you're a
Mhm.
parent, right? And
Mhm.
I mean, first, the obvious thing, it- where are you gonna? I mean, social media now, we're at the point where this is where people are.
Yes.
So it's
That's what we're
understandable that,
doing.
what are we calling? I mean, this isn't like super novel at this point. We're a couple decades into social media. The
Mhm.
question becomes is like, what is the way to navigate through all of this, right?
I
And the
know.
breaking of the patterns. I
That's
want
the
First of all, I
thing.
just want where your brain is going to when you're thinking of this topic, and then we'll kind of.
Well, what's so funny is it's true, you hit some points. I sought out to find the others when, I was dealing with pregnancy or Charlie as a baby or, all those big decisions because I was doing things different than my family. Like
Yeah.
my mom and her sisters, my grandma, no one breastfed, no one did a lot of those things that I was really being drawn to soak in this information, but from no one in my relation, um, even my sister. So I had to find the information somehow, and I started finding these mom groups and things, and then found some locals. So that it was, it was awesome. Felt good with that, and even MySpace days. That to
Yeah.
me feels like the first social media I took in a
Sure.
way.
Sure. Yeah.
You find people that like the same music and same stuff. And like I wasn't in motherhood yet, but I just felt this. You had community, even though it was
Mhm.
online, it was a community. And then
Sure.
navigating today, so many disinfo people, like so much loosh out there, so much you have to navigate vet people on social media now, just as hard as the information, just even the person delivering the information. But it is pretty epic to open like Facebook, and in the search, I don't even put a name, I'll put a subject, and then you can
Mhm.
get some information and discern. I mean, it's its own information
It is.
set.
Yeah.
So, but as with anything, you just have to navigate it carefully. But I have to tell you, from being where I was and starting where I was solo, it grew so big that, we started having meetups at lockdown. You found
Mhm.
your tribe. So that was a good thing.
Absolutely.
Um,
I
So
think there's a
I get drawn to that. And again, it's an parent, it's an adult navigating. I would,
right.
I still think children need to seek humans outside themselves before they look for a community online, because they need that human exchange to feel what that's like. So
Sure.
there's that too.
Yeah, I think
Mhm.
social media, when we're talking about, this advice, this is obviously we're, talking about parents, we're talking about adults getting
Mhm.
information. I think where to begin, and this is a reiteration of the do your own research episode, but, I would say to anyone listening to this that might be, you know, n- wanting to explore advice, maybe you're a new parent, maybe you want to be a new parent, or maybe you've been a parent for a while and, maybe this might be a good time to revisit some of your beliefs. I think it's a good idea to write down all the assumptions, write down your most cherished beliefs, what they are, what was taught to you, and then truthfully examine how well those have worked out so far, whether in your own life or whatever, and find what are the strongest arguments against those.
Mhm.
And sometimes, I mean, this is important to point out, is that sometimes the new information replaces the old information in a better way. But
Sure.
there's a case to be made where it gets tricky, is sometimes the new information may not displace the old may not be a better choice,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I think it takes a robust amount of questioning and not being afraid to take your most cherished belief and hold it to the fire. I think that's a really good place to start, because then that gets you into that mode that if you could take your most cherished belief, that thing that you just are completely convinced of, and you are able to question it as hard as you can, I think that gives you the muscle,
Yeah.
right? We need to
Yeah.
develop that kind of muscle first coming out the
Yeah.
gate,
Yeah.
because from there, if you can develop that muscle, I'm a firm believer, especially in moms, in the instinct coming out.
Yes.
That
Thank you.
if you
Yeah.
can couple a couple of things, like, because maybe you've been conditioned to not question, right? So
Yeah.
that muscle might be weak. If you strengthen that muscle, I found that, and this is just kind of observationally, but seems to be the case, that those moms that have strengthened that muscle, that have brought out their courage, their bravery, that have taken on some of their most cherished beliefs head on, and they combine that with their own motherly instinct, those those alignment bells go off, and you feel like, okay, this is
Yes.
it,
Thank
right?
you.
And I think that's
That's
something that it's almost impossible for me to explain what that is. Well, number one, I'm not a mom, never
uh
will be.
oh.
But it just seems to be that magical combination of having that spine and that courage, and then just let that voice keep roaring out, right? Because that
Yes. No
truth
matter
is what
what.
sets you free, right? That the truth, that kind of like pursuit of truth
Mhm.
starts to magnify, the message of truth, and you kind of start to just know when it's feeling right. It's like, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
this makes perfect freaking sense, right?
Well, when you
So,
emulate it and model it, you just walk in it. Then you're just walking truth. Then you're teaching your child to speak their truth. There's some
right.
topics I will die on the sword of, but one in particular, the
Mhm.
farming things. I started off a different way. I thought I was going to do it one way, and I don't worry, I'll be slow, and all these things. And bless those Facebook memory bumps, you can see the whole journey of my awakening through that, and the horror I went through it. And so, and it's like there is no, you cannot flip that switch in me anymore. But I was taking in the information and navigating a certain subject, and then when it came down to my child and me and it was like, that's it. I haven't wavered since. And it's something, it's like the mama bear. That's the mama bear thing. Papa
Yeah,
bears get them, guardians get them, when you're involved with a child and you're their guardian, everything ruffles up. You're like, wait,
absolutely.
you
There's a
have to
lot to be
keep
said. I
this
mean,
vessel clean.
we made it this far,
Yeah.
on a whole lot of instinct, and now,
Oh, yes. That's a good point.
we're certainly not hurting for information. It's just like a matter of trying to
Yeah.
sift through. We have time for
Yes, we
maybe
are
one or two
evolving.
more in here.
The
Yes.
population is growing. We clearly are doing something right. Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
We got some more time here. We got some
Oh,
interesting
yeah.
ones. If there's any that are jumping at you, but
What do you think?
this one was
The
interesting.
heartburn,
Soda.
applesauce. Oh, soda linking to alcohol. Yes.
Yeah. So,
What? That might have been my problem. Huh.
so
When I was a kid. I was a
but
Dr.
this
Pepper
was
kid.
pretty wild because it was a pretty significant,
Yeah, that was a juice.
sort of correlation here. So this is a study that was done. The study is called Caffeinated Soda Intake in Children is associated with neurobehavioral risk factors for substance misuse. Children who drink caffeinated soda more likely to try alcohol. Study finds 9 to 10-year-olds. So look at 9 to 10-year-olds who drink soda daily, right? So daily soda drinkers.
Caffeine one. The caffeine?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Because that
Well,
gives you a
that's a good
buzz.
question, but I'm almost positive. I don't think that they were drinking diet soda. I think they were talking
I
about
mean,
regular soda.
like caffeine free. Yeah, regular diet, but I can see
Caffeinated
how if
soda.
it was caffeinated, it gives them that they get that surge that
They
they
were
probably get a little
twice
addicted to.
as likely to try alcohol within a year. And so, quote here, key quote, while previous research on the side effects of caffeinated soda consumption has been limited to the negative physical consequences.
Okay.
Sorry for the listener at home.
Okay.
So what this study showed on caffeinated soda, while previous research on the side effects of caffeinated soda consumption has been limited to negative physical consequences, the present results strongly suggest that caffeinated soda drinking in children is also associated with altered neurobehavioral function and can predict alcohol sipping after 12 months. So, you look at things like impulsivity, poor working memory, right? And this was brain scan results, right?
Wow.
So kids who regularly drank soda exhibited lower brain activity in areas associated with the impulse control and working memory. And so, this is the first study to show the connection between soda consumption and future substance use.
Wow.
So, I mean, if that's not enough of a reason, I mean, soda as it is already, kind of problematic for many reasons, right?
Yeah.
The sugar, acid, really kind of non-nutritive, right? We know that as far as like, added sugar, we want to keep that from, below 25 grams a day. Can of soda can get you double that alone.
Mm.
So now we're seeing, though, that this may, in fact, be, call it like a gateway drug. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what else is going on there? It's the first and only study kind of its kind. So obviously, we probably need a little more research on that. But I mean, do we need research to tell people it's probably not a good idea to have your kid drinking soda daily?
I know. It just comes back to those. Yeah.
But it's just another reason to avoid it, right? Because we know that not a whole lot good comes with those other things, that these substances. So
Yep.
yeah.
Jeez. Yeah, that's a stirred up one. Gosh, I know so many. And
Yes.
that I watch and I'm like, really? Like first it was always about the caffeine, and then it's like, oh, but then the sugar. And then it was like oh yeah. I'm like, well, we're having dessert, so I guess there you go. Like it's hard not to like look and be like, oh, but then I have to look at myself a little bit. But that's a big one. That's a big one even for our giant. His biggest thing, and we got him off. We were trying to get the sugar of the sodas was just so much. And that's just a biggie. I keep relating back to like even my sister, because I was this goody two shoe girl, but my sister, when she was young, she was nipping those bottles with the friends and those, but she was also the one to try soda and to try all these things first.
It's I would say, to the point of the giant, it's you want to begin to replace. You can't just pull it. You need to find find the replacement.
Yeah.
The fizzy.
We all do really well with the bubble water. We just have bubbles, like
exactly.
even our little
Fizzy,
bubble machine.
Water kind of things.
Yeah. Just having the bubbles. Mm-hmm.
Those are the way to go. But
mm-hmm.
I think that's it. I had a
little
technical snafu here, but I think we covered some good ground today.
I agree. And I want to implore anyone, Kids Get Healthy USA on Instagram. And then I might just do a big old post, Lawrence, and just share. We have 20 episodes. I think that's so fun. I'm just going to be like, bam, 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 because the topics covered are huge. And I still like in the beginning too, you went on these some hardcore deep dives of like mouth breathing and our dental health and very specific things. So if you are new to this, I think you might really get a kick out of all the other episodes we've done. So thanks for being on that journey with me, Lawrence, and for all that you
Absolutely.
are. Yeah,
Well,
that's
thank you,
awesome.
Heidi.
Yeah.
Kids Get Healthy USA on Instagram. You can go to kidsgethealthy.com to find my website. And you can reach me either on Instagram, direct message, or Lawrence@kidsgethealthy.com.
Woohoo. Easy peasy
Awesome
there.
as always, Heidi.
Thank you. Thank you, Lawrence. And folks, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks at Tuesdays at 2
Tuesdays at
Pacific.
2.
And hold on, stay still because there is the trailer of the Kids Get Healthy channel. So talk to you soon. We'll see you soon, Lawrence.
Bye, Heidi. Thank you.
Bye. Bye, everybody.